part of it is for people who are watching the video as I am providing some form of support service for people. So in this video, since I don't have any requests for service yet, I'm going to be doing a few videos just on topics that I think are worth doing. So in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating creating a Zoom account so that you can host Zoom meetings over the internet. It's a way of teleconferencing, telecommunicating, whether it's for work or for family or friends, where you can get multiple people together in a video and or audio chat, essentially. And it's very popular during these days. And when I say these days, I'll let you know that today is April 5th, 2020. So most people will recognize what is unique about these days and what I'm referring to. So what I'm going to do is, since I don't think I can do a live stream video of installing Zoom on my streaming computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install it, create the account and install it on this laptop. And to do that, I am connected remotely to that laptop through this computer that I refer to sometimes as computer 2. So you can see that screen image right there looks pretty similar to that one over there. It's similar because it is the same computer. On this screen over here, it looks a little more digitized because when I'm connected remotely to a computer over the internet, the screen image is not quite as high quality. So that computer, the laptop, I'm connected to it remotely through the internet. This laptop is connected to my Wi-Fi here in my home office. And the computer that I'm using as the remote control of that computer is connected through Ethernet cable to my network and the internet. So that's probably more about the setup than you needed to hear, but I don't have a direct capture card set up for that laptop. So this is the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to press my buttons here in a moment so that we bring this image up on the screen. Here we go. And then let's go set up Zoom. Now let me point out that I don't already know how to do this. I have not done it before. And this is something that'll be a kind of a common thread in my videos. I'm a professional computer consultant, and part of the job is to do things that I've never done before or solve problems that I've never come across before. And the job is about being able to find your way through something unfamiliar. So sometimes you may see me stumble or make mistakes or backtrack a little bit, and I intend to leave all of that in the videos and make this as authentic and real as I can so that you can see what the job is actually like for people who are interested in the job. And for people who are just interested in improving their own skills with the computer, well, you can see that the professionals do some stumbling. So perhaps that'll help you not feel so bad when you do stumble, because I'm sure you have experienced that. So I'm going to open Google Chrome on that laptop. To do so, I'm right-clicking on it and choosing this pinned tab I have. I didn't want to just click on my Google Chrome because I have it set up to open several tabs that I commonly use, my email and my calendar and my billing software and a couple others. So let's see, that opened into YouTube. I meant for that to open to Google. Why didn't that open to Google? Google.com. So I'm going to try setting that up on my taskbar icon again. And the way you do that is click in the taskbar and just drag that address down to the Google Chrome icon on the taskbar and let go. Now, when that pops up, I see that there's a pinned YouTube and a pinned Google. I think I must have clicked on that pinned YouTube. That wasn't my intention. So just to demonstrate how that works, it's not really the topic today, but since I inadvertently have the opportunity to demonstrate that, I right-click on my Google icon on the taskbar and then left-click on my pinned, see it's pinned here, my pinned item for Google. Now I don't want to, let's go down here. This one is not pinned. If I click on the thumbtack, that pins it, which means it will always stay up here. And I'm going to unpin it because I don't need that one pinned. So, clicking on Google. Then I'm going to search for Zoom. Now the word Zoom is kind of a generic word, but because the current days we're in, Zoom is getting a lot of attention. So just the word Zoom itself is probably going to get us to the right thing. I could use Zoom download or Zoom login. That'll probably get me there too. So I just pressed enter with Zoom, and yes, that gets us to Zoom video conferencing. The address that shows here is zoom.us. I think if you're in a different country, you might be getting a different URL address. When you search for the word Zoom, it should be something that is in your geographical area. I'm just scrolling down to see what else it came up with Zoom. So play.google.com and YouTube. So obviously the choice that I want is Zoom. And then we've got a button over here on the right that says sign up. It's free. So I think what they do is they give a certain level of service for free, and if you want higher quality sessions, I'm not sure what the other specifications are, it's actually a monthly subscription. Over here it tells us educating over Zoom. Okay, now it's gone on to another item. So I see these three dots down here, so that indicates that it has three screens of information that it's displaying to me, and it's not staying long enough on any one of them for me to actually read the screen. Now I'm going to pause for a moment here and check my volume on this other computer. Long enough on any one of them for me to actually read the screen. Now I'm going to pause for a moment here and check my volume on this other computer. All right, that sounds fine. So I want to be able to read these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this left arrow over here, and that should get it to stop on one of these longer. Taking your physical event virtual, learn how to host user conferences, executive brief. Well, didn't stay. Let's try a different method. I'm going to actually click on one of these dots. Here, the leftmost dot. See if it'll stay there. In this together, keeping you connected wherever you are, and it went to the second one. So I'm just going to click on that and kind of keep clicking on it to try to keep it here. And it moved again. How to adapt to remote working. Tools, tips, information to stay connected. Oh, come on, stop doing that. How to adapt remote, educating over Zoom. Okay, I'm going to just watch it for a little while because I can't seem to stop it. That's poorly behaved. Taking your physical event virtual, learn. Okay, and there's a button to click on probably to learn more about hosting in that realm. In this together, keeping you connected. So far, I'm not interested. How to adapt to remote working. So each one of those has this button to be able to get more information. Educating over Zoom. All right, so I'm going to click up here for sign up. It's free. At the moment, I'm trying to think if any of the shows that I watch regularly have a advertisement for a special deal or for a, that I can give one of the shows that I watch credit for this, but I don't remember any of them telling me that about Zoom. So if I find a way to give somebody credit for this, I'll put it in the description below this video. But I have not come across that. So your work email address, I'll put that in. Now as I start typing, Chrome offers me the address that it already knows for me. Now I probably should be mentioning this in most of my videos, is you're going to see my email address that I use for things outside of live Windows training. I need to let you know that I don't watch every mail that comes through there from people that I don't recognize. So if you want to contact me regarding live Windows training content or issues or questions, you should send the email to DougBetts at LiveWindowsTraining.com. And that will get a better attention from me because I'll be watching those closer. With my Doug at DougBetts.com email, I get so much email in there that I only look at the ones that are from my actual local clients or family or things that I know that I'm expecting. So don't use that address. It's not going to work well for you. So there's a sign up, there's a sign in with Google and a sign in with Facebook. I'm not going to do either of those. There are some times when I'll use one of those, and it's typically when it's an account that I don't really care too much about. If it's an account that I care about and that I may wind up paying the monthly subscription for, I definitely want to have a direct account with that website and not use one of those other logins. So this will actually create a direct account on Zoom for me. Clicking sign up. We've sent an email to Doug at DougBetts.com. Click the confirmation link in that email to begin using Zoom. So I'm going to access my email on this screen now, and I'm not going to show that to you while it's coming up, at least not at that level. You'll see it at this more distant level. And I do that as a way to demonstrate that I am capable of protecting your information. If you do a remote support session with me over YouTube Live, I can protect you from having something accidentally exposed by switching cameras before we go to a different screen, so forth. So here I'll come back and show you this screen. Here's the email that came in. Welcome to Zoom. To activate your account, please click the button below to verify your email address. Now, just by clicking on this button, they know that they sent me this email. If I can click on this button, then boom, we're good. They know that that's a valid email address for me, even if there's nothing else for me to do once I click on that button. And it says here, by clicking this button, you confirm that you are at least 16 years of age. And if clicking that button doesn't work for you, then you can paste this link into your browser. So doing that means you would highlight it by dragging over like this. Just get that much. And then right click and choose copy. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then you go to a new tab and right click in the address bar and choose paste. Now if I press the enter key, it will go ahead and complete that. Instead of doing that, I'm going to come back to the email and click on the button as most of you would do. Activate account, and that goes to that address. And it does take me to a screen for doing more. So, hi DougBetts, your account has been successfully created. Please list your name and create password to continue. So here it's asking me to create a password. I'm going to click in that password field, and this is Google Chrome offering me a password. I'm not going to take that. Down here is a confirm password. Now my choices at this point for password is I could use LastPass, which I have on this computer, and LastPass is suggesting a password for me. Very complex password. I would have a great deal of difficulty entering that password when I'm trying to use Zoom. Now I'm thinking it's quite possible that I might want to use Zoom on a computer where I do not have LastPass installed. So I'm thinking I'd rather create a password that will be easy for me to type, easy for me to remember, although I will store it in LastPass just in case, and yet complex. So I'm going to go try that, and this will be another point of training for you. I'm going to go to this address. This is the address that I pasted into that address bar. I'm going to press Control-A to highlight that whole thing. So now when I start typing, what I type will just replace that field. And I'm going to type, how secure is my password? Now, because I've typed that before, it's showing up as a suggestion. And it might show up on yours as a suggestion even if you've never typed that before, because it is something that Google knows that people search for. How secure is my password? And what I'm going to do is use this how secure is my password.net website in order to come up with a new password that I'm comfortable with. Now, as I start typing here, you don't see any passwords show up. And this is, it would take 700 picoseconds. All right, some of you are saying that's picoseconds. Tomato, tomato, probably, I'm not sure. And as I type more characters, I can come up with a password that's going to take much longer for a computer to crack through what's called brute force password cracking. So I'm thinking for a moment what password I can use that's easy for me to type, reasonably easy to remember, but long. And something that's become more, we used to say passwords should be changed every few months. And they should be complex, meaning having uppercase and lowercase, numbers and symbols, and not be any words that are in the dictionary. Well, that has kind of changed and evolved over the years, because what they found, the people who researched this stuff found, is that people write down their passwords, and that makes them less secure. And they're hard to type, so it's a real nuisance. But if you type a phrase that you can remember and kind of makes sense but isn't too obvious, then you can keep that password for a long time. And it works really well. And every site that you have a password should be different than the others. So one strategy for that is to come up with a phrase or a sentence that makes sense to you. And at some point between the second and third word or fourth and fifth word or wherever, you actually put the name of that website. That makes an easy way to remember the long password and know what the unique piece is for that site. Now, some sites will require uppercase and lowercase and a number. So what you can do for that is come up with a strategy where you always capitalize the first letter and all the rest are lowercase, or you always capitalize the first letter of the third word. Come up with something that you will use every time, and then throw in a consistent 1 to 4 numbers at some point between the second or third word or wherever you choose. and then be consistent with that. And that's kind of the type of a strategy, or maybe you call it algorithm, for coming up with a good, strong password. So it probably would have been a good idea for me to think of this in advance, because while I'm talking, I can't think. Hold on. Okay. I got it. Now I'm not showing you my third camera, so it doesn't matter if you see my, I don't have to hide my fingers. There, 35 quintillion years. Now I'm going to go back and type that again. Be sure I can do that. No, I didn't do that the same. Let's see. What did I do different? $35 quintillion. So that was it. Oh, can I do LastPass over here? Can I just go ahead and add it? No passwords found for this site. Oh, LastPass is recognizing that this is a password field, but it's not really to sign into that site. Okay. So then let's come back over here. I think it was this tab. Yeah, to put in the password. So let's see how it likes that. Oh, it does tell us the rules here. Must have at least 8 characters, I do. At least 1 letter, I do. At least 1 number, I do. Include upper and lower case. Yes, I do. So here we go. Now, when let's see, I'll go down here and confirm it. And I'll click the continue button, and if I did that right, it should accept that new password, and LastPass should offer to save it. Now, this is Google Chrome offering to save it. I never want Google Chrome to save it, because that's not as secure as LastPass. And I should go find where to turn Google Chrome's passwords off. Have not done that yet. So then zoom.us, and it's just using the word bets as apparently my username. And I'll click add, so that I'm adding that to LastPass. So if I ever forget it, I can go look it up there. But it is a phrase that I think I will probably remember. Or even if I don't remember it, when I go look it up, I will be able to remember it for long enough to type it in on whatever computer I'm trying to use at the time. So now the account is created, done, over with. I didn't put in any credit card. And I'm at a point now where I can invite colleagues to create their own free Zoom account. No, I'm not ready. I'm not sending that to anybody. That's not part of what I'm trying to do right now. So here is invite or skip this step. So I'm going to do skip this step and see what it goes to next. Now there's a checkbox for I'm not a robot. If I click, notice the skip this step button isn't even available. So I have to click I'm not a robot first. Now, does this come available? It doesn't look like it's available. I haven't tried clicking on it yet. Is there anything else it's waiting for me to do? No, I'm not going to invite any colleagues. This is not for joining a session. It's asking me to send emails to them so they can create their own account. I don't want that. There's something hiding down here. Well, that's just a help. This little thing here that's kind of hidden by my picture is just the notice on that laptop computer that I'm connected remotely to it. I'm going to close that to get it out of our way. So here's this skip this step. I'm going to click on that, and it did go somewhere. All right. Well, that was kind of weird. That button looked like it was not available. Start your test meeting. Excellent. Now it's time to start meeting. Your personal URL is this. I can start a meeting now or go to my account. So it's offering me to start a test meeting. Let's see what happens. Now keep in mind that this is on the laptop computer that's behind me. I'm going to go show that to you again. So that laptop over there is what I'm remotely controlling right now. And I think it's about to turn that camera on, which means we're going to see my back. Start meeting now. Your personal meeting URL. I'm going to copy that. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to need to use that anywhere, but highlighting that and right click and copy. And then click on Start Meeting Now. Open Zoom Meetings. Zoom wants to open this application. I'm going to click on that. Open Zoom Meetings. And it tells me down here to open Zoom Meetings if I see that dialog. Now it's giving me an option to join the meeting with audio. It gives me the option to test speaker and microphone. Before I make a choice there, I'm going to look to see what else is available. It indicates over here who's talking, the meeting topic, join audio, share screen, invite others. So I'm going to start with this test speaker and microphone. So that's over there, and I'll click that I do hear a ringtone. Here, that's what it's asking here. Do I hear a ringtone? Yes. Speak and pause. Speak and pause.
Speak and pause. Speak and pause.
So, do you hear replay? Yes. And then click on Join with Computer Audio. And I guess I got to click again on Join with Computer Audio. You are using computer audio. So this whole window here is the Zoom meeting. I'm going to maximize that. So it covers the whole screen. Now down here in the bottom left, there's a Start Video, which I'm going to do that. And I can do that because that laptop has a webcam built into the monitor. That's part of why I chose to use it. Now, when I move the mouse away, well, that bar disappeared for a moment. Oh, I let go of the mouse. Does it disappear? Yeah. So if I let go of the mouse on the host computer, that bar at the bottom disappears. As soon as I move the mouse, this bar at the bottom shows up. So there's a mute option, a start video, invite other people, manage participants, share screen, chat, and record. And over here on the right is end meeting. So there's a meeting topic. Can I click in that and change it right now? No. That's probably because I'm in a test meeting, so maybe it's why it gave us that generic name. It has my name for the host. It has a password for people joining the meeting. And here's an invitation URL. I can copy it here and then perhaps go to another screen and create an email and send it if I want to do it that way. There's a participant ID number, which would be my ID number. So let's come down here and start video. Now I can click on Start Video here or click on this up arrow, I'll call it, And that's probably going to give me a choice of things related to video, and it does. So it wants me to select a camera, and that HP True Vision would be the camera that's in the lid of the laptop. Logic Capture would be I think a Logitech capture software that I probably installed on that computer in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on Start Video, and we'll see what happens. There it is. It's showing us the camera from that computer. Now keep in mind I'm connected remotely through the internet to that camera, now to that laptop. Now it's turning its camera on, so it's a really poor image. Let's show you my camera number 1 so that you can see what it looks like on that laptop. It's got a nice clear image, and it's showing me that the video from that camera has demonstrated that I can put my hand in front of that camera. What if I turn it this way a little bit and we see me? So that is the host of the meeting. So the next stage in these videos, it's going to be a separate video for actually establishing a meeting and having somebody join the meeting, and I need to prep somebody to do that with me so that I can do the next meeting in this series. So today what we did is created the account and started a meeting, but let's go a little bit further and we'll end this meeting. So down here on that bottom bar, I got to take my picture out of the way, and over here where it says end recording or end meeting. Now before doing that, how about we show some other things here though. Invite. So that I can use the default email on this client, on this computer, or use Gmail or Yahoo. So that would initiate sending an invitation. So let's see, that's that laptop. I'm going to switch cameras here because I'm not sure what that's going to bring up when I click on Gmail on that computer. So I'm going to try it without showing it to you. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So here's what we got, is it opened my Gmail account and it began an email. So I can just put in somebody's email address and say, please join Zoom meeting in progress. Well, I don't have to say it. It's already there. And then here's the join Zoom meeting. So this will show up to them as a link they can just click on. And then they can copy and paste the meeting ID and copy and paste the password. Now, do I have a computer that I can demonstrate that on? Yes, I do. Oh, okay. Let's do this then. We can make this all happen in one meeting, I think. Yeah, gonna see a little bit of a split personality. So if I, I better start this. Yeah, okay, that's far enough. So I started typing my name, and when I pressed the letter D, my name did come up, but also a lot of other names that began with D, and then D-O-U all the way to G. Still was getting other people, and I see I still have one other name there. I don't even know who that person is. But anyway, I did Doug space B, and now that narrowed it down to my email addresses. Don't bother trying to send me email on those other email addresses. It's not going to work for you. It's not going to accomplish what you think it will. So clicking on that, So I'm going to send an email to myself, and I'm going to pull it up on my iMac over here, which has a built-in camera. So that way I can actually join the meeting that I'm hosting. I've got a streaming computer, a remote control computer, and a laptop, and an iMac involved in having a meeting with myself. Okay, there's got to be a joke for a stand-up comedian in there somewhere. All right, so after sending that, it closed that email message window and went back to this how secure is my password window. I'll minimize that. I'm going to put you back on camera 1. I don't have the iMac available on a capture card, so I can't show that to you directly. I need to pull up email on that computer, which I do that so rarely. Let's, I suppose, just go to Gmail. I don't even have a link for it. Oh, I know. I do have that set up in the Mail app for the iMac. So I'll do it that way. Yeah, there we go. Is that right? That has my... Yes, it is working. So let's open that. And where is that? There it is. So how much of that do you see? You don't see much of that at all. So there is a link, as I expected, to click on for the Zoom meeting. I guess I need to bring this microphone up. Well, I can't. The cord's not long enough. So I'm going to have to turn back and forth. So I just clicked on that link for that meeting, and then I'll do copy and paste for the meeting ID number and the password. I got a message that says, do you want to allow downloads on zoom.us? So this is going to install some kind of an applet on this computer. So I clicked allow, and it did the download. For an iMac, that puts it into a little box over here. So I have to click on that to actually install the applet. It gives me a message that says Zoom is the leader, or no, welcome to the Zoom installer. And the paragraph says Zoom is the leader in modern video communications with an easy, reliable platform, yada, yada, yada. I'm just going to click the continue button. And then it asks for an installation type. I can change the installation location. I'm not going to. And I'll just click install. And now it's asking for the password on my iMac to allow the installation. Are you watching my hands? Yeah, if you could ever get your fingers on my keyboard, physically on this Mac, maybe you figure that out. And I got a button here for join a meeting. Also a button for sign in. I'm not going to sign in. I'm going to try just joining the meeting. And it asked me for a meeting ID or a personal link name. So apparently, as the host of the meeting, I think I could have created a personal link name instead of making people use the ID. So it gives me an opportunity to put in my name, and it started with my login name for the iMac, which was Doug. I press the space bar and put iMac after the name so that I'll be able to recognize that that is my user on iMac. There's a checkbox for remember my name for future meetings. And there's a checkbox for don't connect my audio and don't connect my videos. So that would be appropriate for a person who's joining a meeting and they're just going to listen and watch. They don't want their audio, meaning their microphone or their camera, to be connected. And that's the way a lot of Zoom meetings are done, where the host and maybe a guest are presenting and all the people joining the meeting are not participating with their microphones and cameras. Now, this is giving me, as a person connecting to the meeting, the opportunity to make those choices, but the host can make those choices. If the host has not restricted the meeting to prevent people from using their cameras and their microphones, then they won't be able to. So I used Command Tab on the iMac to switch back to the email. I highlighted the meeting ID, and then I pressed Command C, and that's the way you copy on a Mac. On a Windows computer, it was Control C. And then I used Command Tab to switch back to the screen for joining a meeting. I clicked in the field for the meeting ID and then pressed Command V for paste. So that corresponds to Control V on a Windows computer for pasting. And now I'm going to click this blue join button that you actually can see. Then it's asking for the password. And I can see on the background, outside of this window for the password, in the background is that email. So I'm just going to click on that email, then highlight the password. Now at that point, this window that's asking for the password is going to be hidden. So I'll use the Command Tab to switch back to it. Well, that was surprising and interesting. The window that's asking for the password did not get hidden. So I was able to double click on that password, press Command C, and then click back on this password dialog box and press Control V. And now I'll click that blue join button. I get a message that says Zoom would like to access the microphone. I'm clicking OK. And it says, please wait, the meeting host will let you in soon. So let's switch back to the remote laptop screen, and we see here Doug iMac has entered the waiting room for this meeting. And I'm going to admit this person, or I can see the waiting room. So if I do admit, that's going to bring me right in. But first, let's do see waiting room. I should be able to see everybody that's waiting. Here it is on the right-hand side. One person is waiting, and it's called Doug iMac. So if I admit that person, that's going to bring them into the Zoom meeting. And I could admit multiple people into the Zoom meeting. Right now there's one participant in the meeting, it's this person, and I could mute that person if I need to. So all the people that are in the meeting are going to show up in here, and I can individually mute people by clicking on this microphone, or once I move the mouse to that area, then I get this pop-up for mute or more. So the other things I could do for a person is I could rename that person, give them a different name. Now, can I? No, I can admit or remove this person. I can't rename them up there. Now, if I come down here to the bottom, I can see that I can mute everybody or unmute everybody. So one way, if there's a whole bunch of people in the meeting, then you might want to mute all of them and then unmute the one person that you want to be speaking right now. If you as a host will take control of that, it can prevent the problem where I see a lot of Zoom meetings where there's multiple microphones open, and then when two people talk at the same time, you can't understand either one of them. If you're in a crowded room and two people are talking at the same time, you can zero in on one person if you're close to them and looking at them, but in a Zoom meeting, that's really hard to do. So let's go ahead and admit this person. So when I click on that, now I see two elements or two rectangles here in the meeting. Now remember, I have not yet turned on the video camera for the iMac. So I'm going to show you as best I can. Over here, I've got a message that says, join with computer audio. So my audio is not actually turned on yet. And I've got a test speaker and microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm not sure, I might get some kind of feedback sound since I've got all these computers here doing this stuff. Now down in the bottom left corner there's this checkbox. Automatically join audio by computer when joining a meeting. So I guess that would stop this intermediate step. If I put that checkbox, then I won't get stopped at this point anymore. Now remember, this is for the participant. We started this video today doing the host side of it. Well, now I'm showing you some of the participant side of it, and I'll do a better I'll do a better video later showing the participant side of it. So I'm clicking on join with computer audio. There, so it's still coming through. So now I got both of them muted. Okay, so now I can talk to you. What happens if I only unmute the iMac microphone? No, that doesn't work anyway. Okay, so you're not going to encounter this, are you? So we'll stop worrying about that. I want to turn on the camera for the iMac. And this is something that I've seen happen in Zoom meetings where a participant joins and then they can't figure out how to turn the camera on or don't even realize that they need to. And in the case of a YouTube Zoom meeting during a YouTube live stream, if a participant is watching the live stream and then they join the Zoom meeting, the participant needs to know that they have to mute the speaker on their YouTube video that they're watching. Otherwise, they get this echo. And at that point, they're going to be speaking and listening through the Zoom meeting instead of doing both through the YouTube live stream. So when I move the mouse around on the iMac, on the Zoom meeting, down at the bottom, there's some icons that show up. When I stop moving the mouse, they disappear. So I'm going to move the mouse again. This bar will show up at the bottom. There's an option for unmuting the microphone, and there's an option for turning on the video, meaning the video camera, which is up here. Then I got a message saying Zoom would like to access the camera. I'll click OK. So now I can see my image up here, and I can see the image that's coming from the host computer's camera. On the image on the iMac, my face is cut off right about here. So I need to point my camera down a little bit. And this is a subject. Oh, I can show you what that looks like. Yeah, over here. On the left side, you can see the image that is from my iMac camera. On the right side, you see the image that's coming from the laptop that's behind me, pointed at my back. So when you're hosting a Zoom meeting, it's commonplace that people don't understand where to put their cameras and how to aim them. A lot of times they're working from a laptop and they've got it down and they're looking down at it, and that's really an awkward thing to do, because what happens is, because that camera is angled upward at an upward slant, it means if they move a little bit closer, now their head maybe is out of frame. If they move too far back, now their chin is hitting the bottom of the frame. And also the problem with that is when the camera is downward looking up, you get a sense as a person watching the video that you're looking up their nose. So I think it's really important for people to start learning that their camera should be at eye level. So that camera is at eye level. My iMac camera is at eye level. But the laptop is not. I'd have to look downward to see it. So the laptop should be set up on top of a box or something. If you still have some old phone books around and you're just reluctant to throw them out, put a couple phone books under the laptop. Be careful with that, though, with a laptop, because a laptop has, many laptops have little slats in the bottom of the laptop. It's an air intake for cooling. The laptops typically have feet on the bottom. They're intended to be set on a flat, solid surface so that it gives the laptop a little bit of air space for the air to come in through the bottom to provide cooling. So if your laptop's like that, do set it up, but get something that will allow air circulation. So now I'm going to put you back on computer 2 so that you can see what happens as I adjust the iMac camera. Now for the iMac, I actually have to twist the whole, let's see, do I need to go down or up? I need to go up to move me lower in the frame. Did that do it? Pretty good. So the way that should be positioned, I'm going to adjust this a little bit to demonstrate by just holding the bottom of the iMac, and I'm going to turn it like so and show you how the camera ought to be aimed. The camera should be aimed so that there's just a little bit of space above your head. Your head should be in the upper half of the frame. Maybe with your chin or your mouth right centered in the frame. This is another mistake people make. When there's too much headroom at the top, it's not pleasant. It's awkward, uncomfortable. That's just not what we're trained to see by virtue of movies and stuff. They always show us just a little bit of space above the head, and that's very comfortable. The other thing is if the meeting host is putting a lower third, that's where they put your name just below your head. And if you've got the camera turned like this, well, that lower third can actually cut off your chin or cut off your mouth. So as you're participating in Zoom meetings, you want to aim your camera so it's about like that. It gives you some, it puts maybe the bottom of your face somewhere around the middle of the frame. Notice on my camera 1, the middle of the frame is right about here. On my camera 2, again, the middle of the frame's right about here. So my head's in the upper half of the frame. Now my camera 3 doesn't follow that rule at all because I call that my keyboard camera. So boy, I'm liking this. I'm covering almost everything that I wanted to put into this Zoom tutorial video. And I'm just kind of wondering right now if there's anything else I needed to cover. Well, yeah, there is. Let's bail out of the meetings, huh? Or actually, before bailing out of the meetings, let's go back here. So on participants in the Zoom meeting, we can see where we can mute and unmute the microphones. And on this More button, it lets me actually stop the video. Now, there is a thing happening with Zoom videos, Zoom meetings, where if you've put out a public advertisement of your Zoom meeting, the ID number and the password, like if you post it on Facebook or somewhere else where people outside of your circle of participants can see that information, there's a thing called Zoom bombing. And that's where somebody who was not invited gets into your meeting and they cause havoc. And so you need to know as a meeting host how to turn off their video. So let's come back over here and see on this Doug iMac. If I click on the More button, I can stop video, and that should stop the video coming in from Doug iMac. And then I can also ask to start video, which sends a prompt to that participant saying the host has asked you to start your video and a button to start my video. So I clicked on that, and that brings the video back for Doug iMac. And let's go look at that More button to see if there's anything else we should talk about. There's stop video, make host. Okay, so I can make one of the participants the host so that they now host the meeting and can make these choices. Allow record. That would mean that would allow the participants to record the meeting on their computer so that they could go back and watch it later. Rename would mean I could rename that or change that person's name. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And see here that in the center of the screen, I've got a dialog box that says Doug iMac. At the end of that, I'm just going to type new name so you can recognize where that appears. I could have backspaced over all of that and typed in a completely different name. And I click OK. And now up here, it shows that person's new name. Then go back to the More button. I can put this person into the waiting room. So if I click on that, then I'm expecting that this Doug iMac new name is going to move down here. Well, move where? I don't think we see the waiting room right now. So I'm going to try moving that person to the waiting room, and we'll see where that shows up. I think it'll bring up a new, kind of a new section there. There's one participant in the meeting, and here's the waiting room at the top. And then I'll click Admit to bring that person back in. And the video is still on because their video was on when they went into the waiting room. So that's a way you can have guests come in and out. So for instance, let's see first, is there anything else in here I want? Chat. Let's look at chat. So down here at the bottom, I have a blinking cursor in the chat. I'm going to take my picture away in the bottom right corner. So down here in the bottom right corner where I'm moving the mouse a little bit, I can type a message. I'm going to say, "Hi, Doug iMac." Now I'm going to show you on the iMac, where did that appear? This whole video window is just the video. I don't see any chat. Okay, down here is chat. Over here is participants. So I'm going to click on chat and see if it shows up. I don't see any message over there. Why did that not show up? Oh, I know why. Let's come back over here. I typed in the message, but I did not click send. I saw a send button a moment ago. Now I don't. All right, I'm going to try the enter key. Enter, that did it. So that moved that up here to this part. And now let's go back and look at the iMac. And yeah, that chat message showed up over here. Now, I would expect that that chat window would pop up automatically. I'm going to close that and try that again. Over here, I'm going to say second message to Doug iMac and press enter. Now that should pop up some kind of an alert. Yes, over here it's giving me a little pop-up saying from DougBetts to me privately, and it just stays there for several seconds, and then I have to click on that. Now since I didn't click on it right now, you can see that it shows up in orange, indicating that there's a message waiting. So I click on that, and that pops up this chat window on the right hand side. So I typed in the message and pressed enter. Now if we come back to the laptop, we see the reply, "Hi yourself." All right, so we went through all of the items on the More menu. Down here in the chat area, there's a More button. And I think this was available even before we did the chat. So it gives me the capability of muting participants when they enter, and allowing participants to unmute themselves, allowing participants to rename themselves, play the enter or exit chime. So when somebody joins a meeting and they're in the waiting room, if I have a check mark next to this, it'll play a little chime. So that gets the attention of the host that there's somebody new in the waiting room. That chime would only play for the host. If the host has their microphone on at the time, then the others will hear the chime through their microphone. Put participants in waiting room on entry. That by default has a check mark. That makes sense. And then lock a meeting. So lock the meeting, I'm sure, means it would prevent new people from joining the meeting. So if you did have an advertisement out to the broad public, once you get everybody in your meeting, you might want to lock the meeting to prevent unwanted people from joining. What else do we have here? Unmute all, mute all. That's all kind of obvious. Well, I've mentioned it already. So these microphones are currently muted because I had that feedback going on. So normally you wouldn't see all of your microphones muted. At least you would have one unmuted. Here's something to click on. Close, minimize, or pop out. Pop out can be done on this menu for the host. Pop out can also be done for the chat window. So pop out means that instead of being on the right-hand side, it's a separate window. So this chat window, I'm sure it also can be pop out. So yeah, I'll do that. So those are all in separate windows. So I could use, myself or a participant could use Alt-Tab to be able to get to those different windows. Is that true? Actually, that doesn't look true. That's interesting. Okay, so really, I guess all they're doing with that is to be able to move it around to a different part of the screen. Can I bring the video up on top and hide those others? No, I can't. Well, that's a little... Well, here's a maximize button in the upper right corner. Enter full screen. Let's see what that does. Now that gives me just full screen, but still these floating windows. I don't really see why you would want to pop those out. All right, so I'm going to come to this more item. Does that allow me to unpop it? Does not. What happens if I maximize that participant window? Well, that's weird. Now Alt-Tab. That gets me to that. Zoom meetings. Now it brings me back here with that maximized. How about minimize? If I minimize that and minimize that. Okay, so now I can see the video window directly. Can I Alt-Tab to get back to those? No, I cannot. That's strange. I can get chat down here. I can get manage participants down here. So I click on that, and that opens the manage participants. And I click on chat, and that opens that. So that's the answer, is really the things to do by popping out is just so that you can minimize those and get more of a full screen. Now, as you add more people to the conference, these windows, these rectangle video windows, will rearrange themselves for the number of participants that you have in the meeting. The ones that are in the waiting room won't show up here. And then on these video screens, there's a menu button, this 3-dot menu. It's called the ellipsis menu. It's like etc. in a sentence. You write 3 dots to mean etc. Another word for that is ellipsis. So on that ellipsis menu, we've got these choices of unmuting my audio. That's for I'm remotely connected to that laptop. If I come over to the iMac and click on the ellipsis menu, I can unmute the audio. It just says unmute audio, not my audio. I can stop the video for that person. I can chat with that person. I can rename that person. I can pin their video, make them a host, allow, record, remove. So all of those options that we saw on this Manage Participants window are directly available on the video for each participant. And where is the waiting room? How do I get back to the waiting room? I don't see anything there. How about if I double click on the title bar? Does that get me back? No. Speaker view. Let's look at speaker view. Well, that just gives me... Oh, that's the iMac now. So that's whoever's speaking at the moment, or whoever it thinks is speaking. I've got the microphone muted, so I'm not sure how it thinks that the iMac is the speaker. It's got this border around this video now, which would seem to make that computer the speaker, but it does not. Alright, so now I'm going to try exit full screen. Does that bring me back that menu? It did not. Oh, maybe, oh, I know. I'm not seeing the waiting room because I don't have anybody waiting. Duh. So if I put this person in waiting room, now I see the waiting room. All right, that's all it is. If I move this out to the edge, will it go back to that other view? It does not. So I'm going to have to let go of that now. I haven't seen how to put that banner or that right-hand side panel. Okay, here's another thing. We probably let's save more things. This virtual background is what I was going to go into. Let's do that some other time. It's time to wrap up this meeting. So for the participant over here on the iMac, it's already in the waiting room, so I'm just going to close that window. Do you want to leave this meeting? I'll click on the Leave Meeting button and then close the Zoom window. And additionally, I'm closing my email. Then I got a window saying the installation was successful. I'll click on the Close button. And it asks me, do you want to move the Zoom installer to the trash? Yes, I don't need the Zoom installer again, because Zoom is already installed on this computer. So next time I do a meeting with that computer, it'll be quicker and easier to join the meeting. All right, then for the meeting host on the laptop, I'm going to click the X to close that participants window. I don't need it anymore. And then I'm just going to click the X on the upper right corner of this window. And it asks if I want to end meeting or leave meeting. To keep this meeting running, please assign a host. Well, I don't have a host, but this means I could create a meeting, start a meeting, bring everybody in, then assign somebody as the host, then I can drop out. So it's a way to help people with setting up a meeting if they don't know how to do it and don't want to learn all this stuff. End meeting for all, I'm going to click on that. There's an update available. What is this update for? New version is available. You have such and such, release notes, new enhanced features. Interesting to me that I just did the installation today and there's an update available when I close it. So I'm guessing that implies that original installation was not the most current, which happens. That can be that there's a newer update that is separate from what they have on their website. So I'm going to click install update and run that update. While that's running, let's see, can I get back and test my audio? Oh, I guess I already closed that. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. So congratulations on hosting your first Zoom meeting. Zoom add-in for Outlook. No, I don't need that. So, but what this is saying is the Zoom scheduler add-in allows you to easily add a Zoom meeting to any new or existing Outlook calendar event on the web. So that's cool. If you're using Outlook on the web, that's different than you might have Outlook desktop installed on your computer. You'd have to go to a web browser and go to Outlook, office.com, and then sign in and then click on Outlook. So this indicates you can add Zoom scheduler add-in to a meeting that's on a calendar event. So you could set this up in advance, create a calendar event in Outlook, choose your participants, choose that it's going to be a Zoom meeting, and it'll send out the invitations and reminders when that meeting is coming up. And I've been on the receiving end of that, so that's why I described that without having created that yet. So I think we're done there. So if you're interested in requesting a session with me for professional computer support for whatever, you might be having a problem with your computer or want to learn how to do something or set up an account or learn how to handle your passwords better, whatever it may be that a professional computer consultant should be able to help you with, I'm here for that. So go to the website to find out how to go about requesting a session. That's LiveWindowsTraining.com. And I think that's a wrap. Have a great day. Catch you later. Bye-bye.